In the Fantastic Four First Steps, the Fantastic Four are warned of a great threat looming far away in deep space, which turns out to be a big one, Galactus.
Damn, that's a big...
And once they return back home, they must find a way to transport the Earth elsewhere before Galactus arrives. And that's it in a nutshell. A pretty simple plot.
So yeah, that's about it. So yeah.
But the plot aside, the movie as a whole is a bit of an anomaly. On the surface, it's a very goofy experience full of goofy things that should not make too significant of an impression. We live in the retro 60s with fun characters, everything is sunny and nice and casual, there's maid robots and sequences about preparing for a baby. There's light-hearted enemies that consist of easily defeatable mole men as well as whatever monkeys.
They defeated Red Ghost and his super alien.
And yet, the movie does make a significant impression. It makes you focus fully on what you're seeing because what you're seeing feels so damn important. The movie is so effective with raw emotion that you could even compare it to another MCU movie that did that the best. And sure, that may sound weird at first.
What the hell?
Fantastic Four is not Civil War. There is no Civil War here, no kind of war at all. It's very different. But where there is similarity is how it captivates your attention. It's a movie that makes you sit up in your chair to focus fully on what you're seeing due to its importance. I mean, just 30 minutes after seeing a goofy baby preparing montage, you're suddenly watching what may be the most intense sequence you've seen in theaters all year. And the way Fantastic Four does that is by doing a lot of the same powerful things as Civil War. The character conflict is extremely personal and without compromise, which is like two meteors flying toward each other that you can't look away from. The situations rise beyond established norms to new levels.
I have nothing.
Which is like going into space where you have to look because everything is uncharted territory. And there is stark inner contrast in characters that makes them very unlike what they appear to be on the surface, which is yet another central aspect that made Civil War what it is. And so today, let's get into that. Let's see how the new Fantastic Four starts off by being the goofiest movie of the year and ends up being an incredibly powerful movie that gets your full undivided attention and makes you sit up in your chair like a competitive film watcher. The first central aspect here that gets you to sit up is the conflict between characters, which is so direct and personal that there is no compromise to avoid it with. In the beginning, Reed and Sue receive what is the greatest gift of all.
A child.
Sue is pregnant, and if that wasn't a big enough deal on its own, what makes it even more so is that it shouldn't have happened. They tried to have a baby for a long time with no luck and gave up.
We tried for 2 years, and we don't even talk about it anymore.
And so the baby is a miracle that will probably never happen again. Then later, as the Fantastic Four go look for Galactus to talk him out of eating the Earth like he's done with all these other planets, they get offered a deal out of it. Unfortunately, it's the one kind of deal that, well...
I will spare your world in exchange for the boy.
Yeah, in order to save the Earth, Galactus wants the heroes to give up their unborn baby, the baby that arrived as a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. As in, to avoid the conflict with this planet-devouring force, the Fantastic Four must concede the one thing that they cannot concede. And so then, what is the only available action left to do? The action that Johnny does. What makes this sequence so raw and powerful is that it feels like everything is on the line. We're playing for the chips we can't lose. The reason you're sitting up eyes wide open when the Silver Surfer reaches for the baby is because that can't happen. We can't let it. That's what drives the characters to do crazier and crazier things. Johnny attacking what appears to be an all-powerful god 1,000 times his size. Sue telling Johnny to do something to the Silver Surfer that has never even been mentioned in the movie before.
Johnny, kill her!
Really?
Yes, she wants to take your nephew! Kill her!
Reed flying their ship close to the destructive pool of a black hole because there is no alternative. We cannot concede on our side even an inch, so this is the only thing left to do.
Get closer! It's chewing us up! A little closer!
It's the inevitability of the clash that gives it its power. On the hero side, they can't budge. And on the other side, Galactus can't budge either. He needs the baby because it's the only thing that can end his eternal hunger that chains him to destroying and consuming planets. Now, could the film have gone a bit deeper into Galactus's motive to make it stronger? Yes.
The child, he hungers.
Well, isn't that convenient?
But still, it's enough to understand. He has a need and he can't settle for anything less, which then also applies to the Silver Surfer, who he has leverage over. As a whole, we have two sides of conflict that cannot lose. Two meteors flying toward each other without the ability to alter their course. An unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. You have to see what happens as they run out of room in between. Just like you had to see what happens when Tony needs revenge on Bucky for killing his parents, which Steve cannot allow because that's his best pal and it's not his fault.
He's my friend. I don't care. He killed my mom.
The point is that to create compelling conflict, it must be inevitable, so direct and personal that there is nothing that can be said or done to alleviate it. No easy answer, no alternative way out. If it seems possible for characters to compromise in any way, the raw power of the conflict will fade and the audience will recline back in their seat, which you don't want. You want the audience to sit up with full focus. And when the conflict is born from two needs that cannot coexist, from two meteors that will inevitably collide until one no longer exists, that's what you get. Another way this movie keeps your full interest is by constantly going beyond established norms to new uncharted levels that you don't really expect. For example, the beginning is very goofy, like I said. There's goofy sequences, goofy made robots, goofy enemies that aren't really a problem, and everything overall is pretty easy and fun and light-hearted. I mean, Reed casually eradicates all crime like no big deal.
You baby-proof the world.
It's a sweet gesture.
It's a thorough gesture.
But once the main plot kicks in, it all changes. Here comes a celestial messenger who says that everything and everyone will die, and the heroes aren't even sure how to react. Here's a galactic villain who wants the heroes to give up their only child to prevent total annihilation. Here we escape into the deadly pool of a black hole because our plans have gone to hell. Here we arrive back to Earth with no clue of what to do or how to fight back.
Could you take us through how you defeated Galactus? How we
It's very different from the beginning that consisted of arresting bad guys and achieving world peace and solving all kinds of equations with no issues at all. The movie began by announcing that the Fantastic Four are the best of us, loved by everyone, and by the midpoint the best is no longer nearly enough. Reed has no idea how to solve this problem they're now facing. People are turning against the Fantastic Four and guilting them and hating them. I mean, damn, what's going on here?
I would never give him up to Galactus. I would never do that.
Mathematical, ethical, available. Sometimes you being you.
And this keeps happening. The movie sets up a standard of how things are and then jumps way beyond it. The heroes prepare for the baby's arrival the entire beginning, planning out every detail. And when the baby finally arrives, where does it happen? In a spaceship in the middle of a life and death chase scene. Damn, didn't see that one coming. The heroes are fully convinced they can beat Galactus like every other enemy before, thinking they can fight him with fists and whatever.
If he's just some big guy in a ship, then yes, you can punch him out.
And when they finally reach Galactus, what do they find? An all-powerful godly giant who's basically unfightable and invincible. Damn, they didn't see that one coming. The heroes make a Hail Mary plan to transport the Earth away from Galactus at the end, and once they're about to execute it, what happens? The plan is destroyed in front of their eyes, and here comes Galactus. Damn. The reason these events are compelling to watch is because, based on how the table has been laid out, they're new, elevated territory. It's kind of like going to space. You look at everything with great interest because everything is uncharted and thus interesting by nature. If Reed is the smartest man alive, always able to find a solution, who now can't find a solution, you know.
This is not right. It's not how it's supposed to be.
I know.
It's very reminiscent of Civil War that also dealt with things that aren't supposed to be. The Avengers aren't supposed to fight each other. They're not supposed to limit each other's freedom or let each other rot behind bars or choose the government over each other. Tony isn't supposed to kill Steve's best friend. But that's what's going on now. It's the elevated novelty of the situation that makes you want to see how it turns out. The point is that the unknown is always more fascinating than the known. If things remain as they've been from the start, the audience's focus will fade away in time. But if things constantly become what they haven't been and what based on the past they aren't supposed to be, now you're getting the audience to sit up. Exploring space is interesting because we don't live in space, we live on Earth, and we must leave the Earth to get up there. We're led to believe that the baby will be normal, but it turns out to be special enough to impress Galactus. We're led to believe that Galactus is unfightable, but at the end Sue is able to fight back. Make the movie exist at a standard and then rise up beyond it, and the audience will be astonished. Chart some territory so that we can then move on to uncharted territory.
The more I look at you, the less I know. And the less I know, the more scared I am.
But before moving on to the final point, I want to talk about something I would normally talk about at the end, but this time want to do it here. Question: what is a central skill in our ever-evolving tech-heavy world? Programming. A career in software development will be more valuable than ever. And what is the problem with programming? Well, that it's complex as hell to do and boring as hell to learn. That's where boot.dev comes in, a sponsor I was meant to explain at the end but wanna do so now because it might genuinely be the best sponsor I've had. Basically, boot.dev is an educational programming platform that has turned learning code into a game with RPG elements.
Finally awake.
Yes, you have a bunch of courses and lessons where you type code to learn Python and other languages. Yes, you have clear instructions and an AI tutor to help when needed. But what sets this apart from the norm is that it's built as a game. You got levels, XP, challenges, quests. It's like Prestige in Call of Duty. There's just something about the feeling of progressing and unlocking that makes the process more enjoyable. I had no knowledge of coding before, but now I'm learning and don't want to stop. The lessons are really fun and well made. When the day comes that my channel has gone a step too far, I'll have this as backup. And if this career interests you, you can visit boot.dev to demo the platform for free and then use code Filmento to get 25% off your first year of membership. I really recommend it and I'd love to see it help some of you find a career. The third way this movie maintains audience interest is by using contrast to make characters unlike what they appear to be on the surface. A good example of this is Galactus. The way we first learn about him is through Silver Surfer showing up to say that Galactus is gonna come and destroy everything. And once we go meet him, he's in the process of consuming a planet. Clearly a pretty bad guy, right? But as we get closer, not really. We expect a big fight with Galactus, but instead we are welcomed by him. Galactus could just squish the heroes he doesn't need, but is willing to have a conversation. Even at the end, when Galactus comes to destroy the Earth and steal the baby, he doesn't operate like a bad guy per se. The Fantastic Four are doing everything they can to stop him, but he doesn't care. He doesn't bother to really fight back. He's not driven by malicious intent or any kind of hostility. He doesn't see the Fantastic Four as enemies, just as amusing insects that don't matter.
Clever little bugs.
Again, I do think Galactus could have used a bit more development. But regardless, what makes him stand out from other basic CGI monstrosities is that he's not a monstrosity. He just lives on another plane of existence, the way humans don't see ants as individuals. He's very different from the destroyer of worlds that he seems to be on the surface, and that's why he makes an impression. As a different kind of example, look at Johnny's research after they've returned to Earth. Basically, he has heard the Silver Surfer speak in another language, and wants to figure out what's going on with that. But since the others don't care,
His big brain is busy.
he has to do the research himself.
I'm all over this.
And why is that interesting? Well, because it's Johnny doing it. Johnny Storm, the guy who overcomes obstacles by flying right at them like a blind missile. If it was Reed doing the research, okay, makes sense. It's another equation for him to solve. But because Johnny's the one doing it, it's like, I wonder what this mystery is about. I wonder what it is that's got Johnny doing science. The power comes from the contrast. The character acts in a way that based on his surface he shouldn't, which is what makes the act fascinating. And there's a lot of that here. Franklin is just a baby, yet still important enough to get the attention of Galactus. That's pretty big, especially for a newborn baby. I'm now very interested to see what's the deal and what Dr. Doom is gonna do with them in Avengers. Silver Surfer is made of indestructible metal, yet she turns out to be fragile as glass. The Mole Man is at war with the surface, yet he turns out to be the surface's salvation. Even when characters don't get a lot of time or development, there's something distinct there that you can grab a hold of and remember, which is very reminiscent of Civil War. You would expect Tony to be the hotshot anti-government guy, but he isn't. He wants to obey. You would expect Steve to be the soldier following orders, but he doesn't. He wants to rebel. What makes these iterations of the characters so raw and memorable is that they aren't what they are on the surface. They're more individual, realistic, layered, fascinating. They're a stark contrast to their own selves.
Tony, you're being uncharacteristically non-hyperverbal.
The point is that if you don't have time to do crazy character development, the best way to make an impression is with contrast. Look at who a character is on the surface and give them depth that's different. That's what this movie is as a whole. A goofy retro 60s comedy that ultimately hits you hard with incredibly raw power. It may not be my favorite movie of the year, but damn, I will definitely remember it for years to come.